All right, welcome everyone to the daily Ulti portfolio update. It is the first time that Ulti has closed below $4 a share. It closed at $3.89, down 3.23% today. But putting that into perspective, we see that the markets overall were down quite a bit. You can see NVIDIA, the big name that lots of people were talking about today, down 3.15%. Google down 1.15%. Amazon down 2.49%. So just red overall in the markets. The only stock that was up really was Walmart, up 6.46%, which was a pretty good move for a sea of red. So that kind of puts the whole market into context. If we look at the winners and losers from the day for Ulti, we see out of a 23 stock portfolio, only 3 were up. Symbolic, which is related to Walmart. Symbolic's the one that is kind of going to automate the Walmart facilities, the Walmart warehouses. I think Walmart is 80% of Symbolic's revenue, their largest customer by far. TMF, the Direxion Daily 20-year Treasury Bull 3X shares ETF, was up 1.1% on the day, and Costco up 0.3%. Everything else was down. Oklo was the worst offender, down 14.45%. If you look at Oklo, the 5-day chart, they were trading as high as $109 yesterday on news that they had a partnership with Siemens announced. And then today they trade all the way down to $88. So Oklo was definitely the biggest loser in the portfolio today, even though yesterday they were a kind of a winner. And I've got some numbers up to the top right here just to put everything into perspective this month. The start of the month, Ulti had $2.3 billion in assets under management. Right now, they have $1.4 billion, so a 38% decline. Shares outstanding at the start of the month, 485 million. Shares on the 19th, this isn't really the 20th, but the 19th, 366 million, so a 24% decline. So yeah, a lot of outflows of Ulti because of this declining NAV. If we look at just how stocks have performed this week in the Ulti portfolio, most of them are down on the week. Only 4 are up. That's Cipher Mining, Google, TMF, and GLD. Those are the ones that are up. But Circle Internet down 18% so far just in these 4 days. NuScale down 16, Coinbase 13, Rocket Labs 12, and Robinhood almost 12 at 11.86%. On average, stocks in the Ulti portfolio are down 6.5% on the week. And today alone, the average stock was down 4.6%. So turning now to our equity stat tracker, which tracks at cost all of these 15 stocks, so not all 23, but 15 of the Ulti stocks, or about $961 million in Ulti. We see that they've made quite a lot of losses in these. Today's losses were about 31 million. On the whole, about 119 million. Now, I can't say that these numbers are 100% accurate. I do believe they're fairly accurate. I grab them from this website, the Ulti website, every day, download the intraday trades, and track them at cost, but I can sometimes make mistakes. I do go back and double check, especially once they've sold out of a position. So just that little caveat there that this may not be 100% accurate because I can make mistakes, but ballpark figure, we're talking about down $119 million in trading. But that's just the stocks. They do have some gains in the options. We'll turn now to that. In the options, we see the unrealized. They are profitable on some of these trades. Symbolic, they're profitable. TMF, GLD, Iron, and Google. But total profits are only about $4 million. Total losses on these 15 or so stocks, on paper, looks like they're down about $72 million. And that's if you include stock losses plus options premium. I'm tracking about 72 million. Again, all unrealized, although some of it is realized, which I'm tracking over here as well, but majority of it is unrealized. On average, that's down almost $8 million per position, or about 9.7% in the negative per position. Now, of the realized positions, which I do track as well, I estimate that they've lost $145 million on, how many positions is this? 11 positions. That's going to be quite a bit. But on average, let's see what the average of that is, $13 million on these positions. So I'm not optimistic about the trading abilities of the Ulti traders right now. A lot of it's probably been bad timing. The markets are down for sure, but just looking at the picks that they've had where they've lost money, BMNR, Cipher, as I like to point out, those two, Pony AI, quantum computing, Lucid, HIMS was another big one. Actually, let's sort this from worst to best. So worst was the quantum one, then rocket companies, HIMS, Lucid. You know, there's not much of a pattern here other than that they're just losing big on some of these. Lululemon, I'm less certain about because they were trading options on that for a while. So anyways, moving on. Moving on to the unrealized ones, the big loser right now is SoundHound. They've held on to that since I think, let's see, let's go to our SoundHound tracker, since September 22nd, so it might be time for them to ditch that. They got into SoundHound at around $17.50 a share, and right now it's about $11.30 a share. Done all these options trades. Look at all these options trades that they've placed around it. I just don't see this turning around anytime soon, and it might be time for them to jettison this loser of a stock where the CEO is selling and probably doesn't even care. No, I'm kidding. What else we got here? MP Materials, that one's tricky because they have some realized gains there. Circle Internet, though, that one down 9 million. Let's take a look at Circle. They got into it around $86 a share. It's now $66 or $67 a share. They only made one buy back on the 13th, so this last week, $64 million. So you can see how fast these stocks drop, and a lot of it is just timing. Let's take a look at QQQ because that's a good representation. Let's take the 1 month chart, or let's go 6 months. Yeah, you know, if they purchased a lot of stock around here, the portfolio turns over a lot. They're constantly buying and selling. Year to date, they probably bought a lot, and it's just not worked out. So that's one of the issues I'm starting to see with Ulti is this high turnover means they have poor timing, especially in these down markets. But hopefully some of these other stocks that they've recently added are going to help them turn around. Let's take a look one more time at what we've got. Google, I think, is a good long-term hold. GLD, I'd agree with, a good long-term hold. TMF, I'm not sure how many options. TMF, I'm not sure how much options they're going to get off of that, how much options premium. NVIDIA, possibly a good long-term hold, though up for debate. Costco, definitely a good long-term hold. And GDX and Meta, I also think are good long-term holds, though GDX will for sure be more volatile than GLD. But, you know, let's highlight these. Google, long-term. GLD, I think, good long-term. TMF, possibly, although it's a leveraged fund. And then Costco, also a good long-term one. Meta as well, I would say. People still use Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. So, yeah, they've got some good long-term holds here. I don't know about the rest of them. Is this the bottom for Ulti? I don't think so. I think it can go a lot further, and we'll talk about the reverse split in another episode of this because the reverse split is coming, but we'll talk about it as we get closer to there. So that's the Ulti portfolio update, guys. Good to be back, and hope everyone's doing well. Drop your questions and comments down below. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. If not, go ahead and dislike it. then you won't get any more of the notifications. So thanks everyone for watching, and see you in another video.